Okay, so imagine this. An arrow, right, perfectly drawn back. But instead of hitting the target, it just soars way up high into the sky. It's like this deliberate act of defiance, smack in the middle of warrior training.
Yeah.
That moment, it's from a YouTube video, Buddha Episode 7 from Modi Studios, looking at Siddhartha's early life. It grabbed me. Let's try and unpack why that one thing feels so significant.
Well, it's fascinating because, it's not just for show. It immediately kind of lays bare this fundamental conflict inside Siddhartha himself. You're getting a peek into a mind that's already wrestling with ideas that go way beyond the usual thinking of his time. Like the very first steps of a much bigger philosophical journey we're seeing.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to do here for you, learner. We're not just going to tell the story from the video again.
Right.
We're diving deep into these really key moments from Siddhartha's youth. Think of it as maybe a shortcut. A way to really get the core of his character, the pressures he was under, and those first steps he took on his own path.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture of his life, this refusal to just go along with things, that's a theme that runs right through.
Yeah.
These aren't just random incidents. They're early signs, you could say, of this deep questioning nature that eventually pushes him to challenge, everything about his privileged life.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit more. The archery competition at the Gurukul. The video does a great job. You feel like you're there. You've got Devadatta, just full of swagger, hitting target after target, looks totally effortless.
Yeah, the teacher even points him out, right? Calls him the most skilled archer. Sets a really clear expectation.
Exactly. And Siddhartha, he's a prince, so the expectation is he'll be just as good, probably better at all this warrior stuff.
Yeah.
But then he does the complete opposite. He won't even aim at the birds they're supposed to be using as targets.
Yeah.
And his reason is, it sounds simple, but it's huge. He says it's wrong to hurt innocent living things. He argues, that real strength is about protecting, not attacking things that can't defend themselves.
And that just flies right in the face of the whole warrior code, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The teacher keeps pushing back, saying, look, you need these skills, you need to hit moving targets. It's practical, traditional warrior thinking, survival.
Yeah.
Defense.
Right. And Devadatta, he jumps right on it. He's the rival after all.
Of course.
Starts taunting Siddhartha, basically saying he doesn't have the guts for it, lacks the warrior spirit, even sort of dares him to do something cruel to prove himself.
You can feel that tension, that animosity already there between them, even as kids.
Definitely.
And this rivalry, it's not just about who's better with a bow. It really shows two totally different ways of thinking about strength, about duty.
How so?
Well, Devadatta is like the classic warrior ideal, right?
Yeah.
Focused on winning, on being dominant. While Siddhartha, even now, is already hinting at a different kind of power. Something based on, compassion.
Okay, so the teacher tries to find a compromise. He suggests a new test. Someone throws a bird up high, and that's the target.
A moving target, but maybe slightly different. Still, the assumption is you shoot it down.
But Siddhartha's response, wow. Instead of drawing his bow to kill, he uses all his strength, all his skill.
Incredible skill.
Incredible skill. And he shoots the arrow so precisely, it just sends the bird flying upwards, higher and higher until you can't even see it anymore.
It's an amazing display of archery, no doubt. But completely turned away from violence.
And what's so important to get here, I think, is that this isn't just him missing on purpose or getting lucky. It's a deliberate choice not to harm.
Yes.
Using control and precision for, it seems like for preserving life, not taking it.
And the takeaway from this moment, for you, learner, has got to be this really early, really strong display of Siddhartha's compassion. And how he questions these deep-rooted traditions, even when he's under pressure from his teacher, from his peers.
Yeah.
That one action just sets him apart, shows he's got this unique moral compass already.
Now, predictably, Devadatta is not impressed.
Not at all.
The video then moves pretty quickly to a direct confrontation. Devadatta is furious, feels shown up, I guess.
Yeah, he basically calls Siddhartha a hypocrite. Says, you let the bird go, but maybe you actually hurt it more by doing that, sending it up so high.
Interesting argument.
And then he just throws down the gauntlet. Challenges Siddhartha to a duel. Let's settle this, he says. Let's see who the best warrior in this Gurukul really is.
So suddenly the stakes are way, way higher. It's not just about archery points anymore. It's personal. It's a clash of who they are, these opposing ideas we've been talking about.
Exactly. This fight really throws that gap between their worldviews into sharp relief. Devadatta is all about strength through dominance. military might. Siddhartha's actions, though, they point towards something else entirely, a different kind of power, maybe one that's harder to grasp.
And this clash of values, it doesn't go unnoticed by Siddhartha's family, right? The video shows a conversation he has with his father.
Yes, and it's very telling. You see the pressure he's under.
His father is clearly disappointed. He doesn't get why Siddhartha is so hesitant to do what he sees as, necessary warrior stuff.
He keeps talking about duty. The duty of a Kshatriya, the warrior caste. How strength is essential to protect the kingdom. You can hear his ambition for Siddhartha, wanting him to be this great, powerful emperor someday.
And there's that moment, he even brings up the Gita.
Right, a really significant reference. The Gita talks a lot about duty, dharma, including the warrior's role.
So the father is essentially asking, do you even understand your duty? What our traditions, our scriptures expect of you? It's a direct hit on Siddhartha's own emerging beliefs.
That pressure from his father, from his family, it's enormous. He's not just some guy making choices, he's a prince. He carries the weight of all these expectations, his family's legacy.
Yeah.
That conversation really highlights the pull between his own conscience and the role he was born into.
It's interesting, too, how this rivalry affects others. Like Devadatta's mother. She tries to get involved in her own way.
She does. She gets hold of some kind of charm, like a nail, that's supposed to have protective magic. She wants to use it so Siddhartha can't hurt Devadatta in the duel. It shows you the beliefs of the time charms, amulets, but also just a mother wanting to protect her son.
But here's a twist I didn't expect. Devadatta refuses it.
Yeah, he flat out says no. He wants to win fair and square, based on his own skill, his own courage, not because of some magic trick.
That adds a layer to him, doesn't it? He's competitive, maybe even aggressive, but he still has this code of honor.
It does. It complicates things. You can't just write him off as the bad guy. He wants a real victory.
So the duel is on. The video really builds the tension. This is it, the final test to see who the best warrior is.
The formal announcement makes it official. It's the big showdown, the climax of the competition, and that personal challenge, a direct physical test.
And you see Siddhartha struggling internally again. He really hesitates to hurt Devadatta.
He does. That aversion to violence is still right there, even in this formal duel setting.
That struggle is so key to understanding him, isn't it? He's always caught between his own compassion and what society, his position, demands of him.
Always. It's a constant negotiation.
And yet, the video shows him making 3 strikes in the duel. So what makes him finally act?
It seems like it's driven more by obligation than any desire to harm. The video suggests he dedicates the first strike to his teacher acknowledging his training.
Okay.
The second strike is for his parents' expectations, recognizing their hopes, his family duty.
Right.
And the third is for the people's trust, understanding his future role as a leader who needs their confidence.
So even when he's in a duel, doing something that could cause harm, he kind of reframes it, puts it in the context of his duty to others.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
It really underscores that constant battle inside him, trying to square his own beliefs with these external duties.
It's a complex picture of this young man under immense pressure.
Very nuanced, yeah.
And just as things feel like they're at their most tense, another important person arrives, Yashodhara.
Ah, yes. Her arrival at the palace definitely shifts the mood.
You see the women in the palace, they seem genuinely happy she's there, quite joyful reactions.
It says a lot about her, doesn't it? About her relationships there. And the fact that she traveled to Kapilavastu suggests she's quite determined, maybe trying to smooth things over, connect with family.
We also get those little snippets about other family members, like Dandapani being in Vaishali, Siddhartha's mother in Devadatta, but thinking about Kapilavastu. It sort of paints a picture of this wider family network, maybe spread out, but still connected.
And Yashodhara traveling like that, possibly on her own initiative, it hints at her own strength. She seems proactive, someone who tries to build bridges.
So then we get the scene where she meets Siddhartha. It feels quite intimate. He's alone, seems to be pondering something deeply.
And their conversation, it has this mix of subtle affection, but also real intellectual spark.
Yeah, like when she asks him gently if he's composing poetry, it shows she understands that thoughtful side of him. Maybe they share a love for arts.
Seems likely. And the riddles they exchange, that's really telling about their connection.
It is. She asks, what's darker than the new moon night? And her answer's, coal in a woman's eyes. Or a stain. They're so poetic.
And his response to her riddle, what's thinner than water? First he says knowledge, which is deep enough.
Right. And then she softly adds, love. Wow, that speaks volumes about how well they understand each other on an emotional level, too.
It's this playful but also quite profound exchange. It shows they connect intellectually and emotionally. The riddles aren't just games, they're like this private language about big ideas and feelings.
Even something simple like her asking if he'd teach the flute becomes this moment where he shows he's willing to share what he knows. And then Yashitara mentions Gopa, which is Mita's nickname apparently. That little detail hints at a shared history and intimacy between them.
It's a crucial glimpse into their relationship. You see, there's real respect there, affection. They seem like equals intellectually, and that connection exists despite all the other pressures and conflicts swirling around Siddhartha.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it's just so clear that these early moments from the video are packed with meaning.
Absolutely.
We've seen his deep compassion emerging early on, that clash with the standard warrior way of thinking, the huge weight of royal expectations, and then these really complex relationships he has with his rival, Devadatta, and with Yashodhara, his intellectual partner.
These experiences, they're absolutely formative, pivotal. They give us a real window into the forces, both inside and out, that were shaping this young prince, the prince who would eventually choose such a radically different path.
And for you, learner, thinking about this, these moments offer really valuable clues about how someone who had everything could later give it all up to search for enlightenment. The tensions we talked about, duty versus your own conscience, what's expected versus what you truly believe, the messiness of human relationships. I mean, these are universal themes, aren't they? They still resonate today.
They really do. Which leaves us with maybe a final thought for you to chew on. Looking back at these early choices, these conflicts, can we already see the seeds of the Buddha's future past being sown? Were those acts of compassion, that questioning of tradition, just youthful idealism? Or were they something deeper, signs of a philosophical mind already leaning toward the journey he would eventually take? It makes you think, doesn't it, about the push and pull between what the world expects of you and your own core values.